and welcome to Legal Research for 2019. I'm Scott, I'm the unit coordinator, and you'll be seeing me each week throughout this term. So this video is just to introduce some of the core concepts, to get you going, and to give you an idea of what's going to be happening during the term. And I guess the burning question for everyone is, well, what is it all about? What's legal research? So what legal research really is problem solving, and it's evidence-based problem solving. So it's about information problems where you are lacking information, you need some information. It's not about sort of an ivory tower sitting and contemplating the universe sort of experience. It's about needing to know something, and it's also being able to provide the evidence for that information, because we live in a time of fake news and disinformation and things that people heard that someone said they saw on Facebook, and we need professionals who are not only able to discern the truth but are also able to act as custodians of the truth. And one of the things of being a legal professional is that duty to the law, and that duty to make sure the law is represented fairly, to criticise it where it needs criticising, but to stand up for when people are saying things that are clearly wrong. So it's about those issues, and it's a skills-based subject. And I don't think it's a very difficult subject. It's certainly not. It doesn't have some of the arcaneness of some of the technical legal areas where you've got to get into the nitty-gritty of the doctrine and the precedent and so on, although we are going to be talking about those things. But it's a subject that requires attention from week to week. It's not the sort of subject that you can jump in at the end and try and get it done at the last minute. And that's part of the message of this subject, is to teach you how to plan your time, how to plan projects, and how to work under timelines that are sustainable, that are not going to stress you out and burn you out. And those are themes that we cover expressly in this subject. One of the core tools we use in this course is the legal skills matrix, which is very basically an attempt to map out what research skills are across 12 different topics and across 5 different skill levels, from your absolute novice first year through to your graduate, postgraduate student. And in defining those skills and mapping them out across that matrix, you're able to position yourself and see at which point in your studies what skills you need to have. And it's a very important tool, not only to frame what we're doing in our formal learning, but also as a self-analytic tool. And self-analysis is something that becomes extremely important as a professional going forward. Your ability to actually look at what you do and to identify things that you need to learn, because there's only so much formal study can do. And the immature sort of the child's way of studying is to say, well, you tell me what hurdles you need me to do, and I'll do whatever I need to do to meet those hurdles. And that only takes you so far in professional life. As a professional, you need to be able to say, to have a look at yourself and about identify those things and ask for help where you need. So there's no point in avoiding learning how to use, say, legal encyclopedias, because no one's ever made you learn how to do it, when you know this is something that you're going to need to be able to do in professional life. You may have been able to get away as a student without actually ever having to use a legal encyclopedia, which is a notorious one that people don't know how to use. But in professional life, you've got no one to blame but yourself if you can't do the things you need to do. Now, your actual assessment in this subject all fits together towards one aim, and that is preparing a response to a law reform issue. And the reason we're using law reform, there's a separate video on this, of course, you can look at in a little while, but we're using law reform as a mode of professional work that uses all the skills you need as a legal researcher. And each year we select a different issue and a different current law reform project, and we work through it week by week in order to illustrate and provide examples of what you need to be able to do as a researcher. So this year we're looking at a Victorian Law Reform Commission current issues paper dealing with committals. And that's one of those areas of law, because it's criminal law, that is always, on the one side, a whole lot of public outcry about, oh, why, what's wrong with the criminal justice system? How come people keep reoffending? But on the other hand, there's a lot of very serious issues around rights, of course, but also around resourcing and about the extreme cost of criminal justice. And all those things have to be balanced. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'll do a separate video on that. But I think you'll find it's an interesting topic. It's one that's really accessible, that anyone can get into and have an opinion on. And we'll be using that not because the aim of this course is to teach you all about committals, but to show you how a researcher approaches a particular problem. And the bigger problem being, well, what do we do about committals? And works through the various stages of analysis using the different tools available to them. So the assessment in this subject is all based around that. So there'll be a final paper that you will write, quite a short paper, don't worry, on a particular issue out of that issue's paper that will be assigned to you. There will be a draft planning stage where you'll submit a plan early in the term, and you'll get feedback on that. And that's where you'll get most of your feedback on your term, incidentally, is on that planning stage. Because there's not really all that much point getting feedback on something you've done that you're not going to be able to change. So in this subject, we really like to focus the feedback on helping you get to the next stage and helping you improve that final project. And the other assessment task is a portfolio where you record your week-to-week activities. And that's something, again, it's extremely difficult if you leave it to the last minute and try to do it. But if you do it week by week and you just write a half a page to a page every week on that, you manage to get your marks every week. And there's no reason why you can't get full marks for that activity if you're patient and diligent and you work through it every week. So that's one of those things that, again, we'll talk about a little in a while. But if you make a fair go each week, you get your mark for the week for doing that portfolio task. And it's easy marks, really, unless you decide to think you're going to do it the night before it's due, in which case, from other students' experience, it's an extremely difficult thing to do. All right, and what is, I guess, an important concept dealing with that portfolio, and it's not a portfolio in the sense of like you've no doubt done a professional portfolio where it's all your skills and achievements and those sort of things that you're presenting to employers, and we certainly want to help you improve that this term. Now, this is a portfolio around a research project, so it's different tasks, stage by stage, working you through the stages of research. And the model we use the acronym RAMP, which is the Research Activity Model Portfolio, because who doesn't love an acronym? But the idea is that this is a model each week of how you conduct a research project over a 12-week period. Now, in the real world, you're not going to have a 12-week period. You'll have a shorter or a longer period, and you need to be able to adapt. But this is an attempt to provide that framework and that scaffolding for you to see how a research project works and to work through it stage by stage. And what you then do is you develop your own approach. You start with that model and you develop your own approach to research. So the workshops, the weekly workshops, we'll work through one of the questions in one of the ones that's not assigned to students in the issues paper, and we'll work through it week by week, and we'll go through each of those stages in class to show you how each of those things are done and give you examples and show you how it's done, so that when you come each week you go to do your piece of the portfolio, you know what you need to do. So it's probably time now for you to have a look at Moodle, have a look at some of the resources that are available to you, have a bit of a look at MS Teams, which is the new communications tool that is being rolled out across the university, and it's described by Microsoft as a digital workspace, and basically what it is an easier way to keep in contact with myself and with other students. And it's a way that you can stay in contact via your phone as well as your computer, which is one of the big problems with Moodle, is that accessing Moodle forums and things on a mobile device is all but impossible. So again, something we'll talk about a little bit more, but I think you'll find that experimenting a little with Teams, if you've got any experience at all with social media, you'll find it's a much more intuitive way to stay in contact with each other, and it's becoming as of I think next year, it's going to be default across all of the uni programs. We're just being a little bit forward-looking by jumping in and prototyping it in this course. So have a look at your study guides. They're broken up week by week, but I've also put all the study guides in one place because I know some of you just want to download them all in one go. So you've got two options as to how to access them. That gives you more ways to do things. You find the study guides each week have more of a magazine format than you might be used to. And that's because there are a lot of different themes and issues that we cover each week. It's not like contract where we do bailment and you do all the history of bailment and what the principles of bailment are and what the cases on bailment are. It's not that sort of subject. So each week you'll find there's the readings, and you expect that. There's the matrix for each week, giving you an idea of where you sit along the skills scale, and you might find some weeks you're ahead of where we expect you to be, some weeks you're behind, and then it's up to you to try and figure out, well, what do you need from me, what do you need to ask me to help you go forward. And the study guides will hopefully at least get you enough to get you up to what's expected for a second year student. There's a section each week on navigating the law where we look at a different legal resource or legal source and look at some of the details on how to access that. Now, you've done those all before, but it's worth going through it again. And then some of the readings also do this, and they revise some of the material that you have done previously, particularly in intro. But that was, at least a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. So it's worth revising. And if it's, something that you are familiar with and you are so sick of statutory interpretation that because you do it all the time, fair enough, skim through it and just look for things that you don't already know how to do. But if there's something that you need a reminder of, those readings and those activities are there to try and reinforce that information. Because like with most skills, you learn by practice. You don't learn by learning it once. You don't become a great baseball player by hitting a ball once and going, that's it, I know how to hit a ball, that's it, I'm now a fantastic baseball player. You've got to hit a ball an awful lot of times to be a good baseball player. All right, each week there are also key concepts, which are different theories and thoughts and ideas and legal concepts that we drill into in more detail. And quite a few of those have videos attached to them, and they're provided to help you draw those dots together, draw the lines between the dots and develop your thinking to a higher level. There is also an equilibrium section, which is all about skills, study skills, well-being, work skills, and there's a whole bundle of quite often external videos on, how to cope with stress, how to plan your time, and those sort of things. And then, of course, each week there's the RAMP workshops, which are working through those study skills stage by stage. Anyway, I've gone on for an awful long time on this video, so I'd just like to finish by saying welcome to the course, and hope to see you attending and discussing every week, because, as I said before, you're only going to get help by engaging, being self-reflective, and asking for help. If your ambition coming into this subject is, I just want to do the minimum to pass, good luck to you. Good luck to you ever getting a job with that approach, because there are so many law graduates that the employers are really looking for people who are keen and switched on, but that's your choice. If you're just here to get the qualification, that's fine. But if you're here to learn, come along with those questions, engage, ask, get involved. Okay, see you in the first tutorial.